Imagine with me, in an age where luxuries have become necessities, and desires are engineered before we even feel them. The question is no longer, why do we consume? But rather, how did we become programmed consumers? Economic theories have long spoken about supply and demand, interest rates, and GDP. Yet they have ignored a hidden force that moves everything, and causes everything to collapse when it weakens. That force is willpower. Here begins our journey into the economy of will. The economy of will is the human being himself. Can this psychological force truly be an important economic variable? More than that, can this psychological force become an economic asset, like capital and labor? This force is volitional capital, an economic asset parallel to capital, labor, and technology. It is our collective stock of self-control and conscious choice. Yes, willpower itself can become an economic asset that can be measured and accumulated.
Think with me. Is our real problem today a lack of resources? Or a lack of discipline and the loss of the ability to delay gratification? This weakness fuels chronic inflation and turns us into fuel for a consumer economy that never satisfies. This is what I attempted to answer in my previous work, The Behavioral Structural Theory of Inflation, where I showed that consumer willpower is the true braking force against inflation, and that its weakness leads to behavioral leakage, increasing demand for luxuries and pushing prices upward. But the new edition of the theory asks a bigger question: does human willpower stop at material consumption alone?
In the second edition of this theory, I argue that willpower does not stop at regulating consumption, it extends to life, knowledge, money, and the body. All of these are dimensions that are consumed, and willpower determines how we consume them. Let us pause at the saying of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. A servant's feet will not move on the day of judgment until he is asked about his life, how he spent it, about his knowledge, what he did with it, about his wealth, how he earned it and how he spent it, and about his body, how he used it. This hadith places willpower at the heart of responsibility. How do we consume our lives? Our knowledge? Our wealth? Our bodies? This is not merely moral preaching. It is a comprehensive economic model for managing core human resources. The question, how did you spend your life, is a question about consuming the most valuable capital you possess, time. Was it consumed in production and creativity, or in entertainment and digital distraction engineered by the predatory attention economy? The question, what did you do with your knowledge, concerns investing intellectual capital. Did you turn it into value and benefit, or leave it stored without action? The question about wealth, where it was earned and how it was spent, is the core of the first theory: consumer willpower toward goods, and willpower in spending, on good or evil, construction or destruction, reform or corruption. Finally, the question about the body, how it was worn out, is about consuming energy and health, a fundamental productive resource. Here, we are speaking about the consumer's willpower in consuming his life, his knowledge, his wealth, and his body. These questions determine our fate as individuals and societies. Social engineering begins with you, the individual, then the family, then society, and finally the state. The goal is to transform individual willpower into a macroeconomic force. Each level adds new strength. Here emerges the concept of volitional capital in its new formulation. If individual willpower manages the four resources, then collective volitional capital is the sum of these organized wills. It is the collective stock of conscious choice, delayed gratification, and rational consumption. In time, effort, money, and health. Look at the impact. A disciplined individual is less prone to debt and more capable of saving. A conscious family achieves balance between desires and necessities. Society enjoys financial stability and higher productivity. And the state builds policies that reduce behavioral leakage. To build this stock, we need a new social engineering approach on 4 levels. 1. The individual, training willpower through awareness and knowledge. 2. The family, raising children on contentment and self-control. 3. Society, creating a culture that supports moderation and resists consumerist obsession in all its forms, cultural, media, economic, and religious. 4. The state, policies that protect consumers from all forms of manipulation and encourage saving and real investment.
You may ask, why does this matter? Because the modern economy collapses due to weak willpower more than due to a lack of resources. Because today's market wants on your behalf. And because restoring willpower is restoring the human being himself. Volitional capital is not merely a theoretical idea, it is a practical tool for safeguarding the macroeconomy. We recommend integrating willpower into economic policymaking and building educational programs that strengthen self-control and consumer awareness. Conclusion: our willpower is not merely a remote control for our wallets, it is an integrated management system for 4 core forms of capital: life, knowledge, money, and the body. Weakness of willpower in any of them creates behavioral leakage that weakens the individual, burdens society, and disrupts the macroeconomy. The final message: restoring willpower is restoring the human being. Either an economy built on willpower, or an economy that exhausts the human being to the very end. For those who wish to explore further, here is the link to the theory and the link to the book.